At least 14 Americans are among the 1,900 dead in the war between Israel and the terrorist militant group Hamas. It's estimated more than 100 people are being held hostage by Hamas. Since the attack, Israel has launched an all-out military response in the Gaza Strip, displacing more than 100,000 people. Many people living in Israel right now are from here in Indiana. News 8's Danielle Zolkowski joins us live in studio with the story of one man living through terror in Tel Aviv.
Yes, well, I spoke with Eitan Goldstein, a man who was born in Indianapolis, but now lives in Israel and served in the Israeli Defense Force. He says the reported violence against children and infants has been particularly horrible.
Disgust, anger, fury. Words really can't describe that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach and that dark swirl that really starts in the pit of your heart. When you hear something like that.
Eitan Goldstein called from his apartment in Tel Aviv. Shortly after the call, he had to take cover in a friend's bomb shelter because he does not have one in his building. If a bomb goes off during the day when he is home, his only option is to take cover away from windows.
About 5 minutes before we jumped on, there were a few mortar rounds that were fired from Syria into the Golan Heights, into Israel.
Goldstein says everyone knows someone who was killed, and his family and friends were not spared.
We have family friends who were actually murdered by the Gaza Strip, and our family friends' daughters were taken into Gaza, and we don't know what's happened.
Tel Aviv was once a top tourism and nightlife destination. Now it's a ghost town.
Every night of the week, you have to call to make a reservation at a restaurant or a bar if you want to go out. That's how busy it is. Everything is shut down. The country is shut down. The country is in mourning.
Goldstein says he tried to volunteer for his old role in the communications office for the IDF, but so many people had already volunteered that all the spots were full.
I speak Arabic, Hebrew, and Spanish. And every single one of those offices in the spokesperson's unit are full of volunteers.
Goldstein did not let this deter him. As a multilingual person, he runs a WhatsApp group where he translates messages from opposing military and militant forces to inform Israelis and allies of what they are saying.
At least I'm sort of doing my part to get the word out of these terrible atrocities and what it is that we're truly going through.
Goldstein calls this violence unnecessary.
Nobody in Israel wants Palestinian kids to die. Nobody in Israel wants, civilians to die. It doesn't matter who they are, what they think, or what their beliefs are.
Goldstein says he does not anticipate this conflict ending quickly.
When infants are beheaded, when women are kidnapped and raped, you know that there has to be some sort of response, and that response has to be harsh. That response has to be final.
Goldstein says Israel and the IDF have committed to the total destruction of Hamas, which is entrenched in the civilian population in the Gaza Strip. He personally believes a ground invasion will be necessary to save civilian lives.
The Jewish Federations of North America is asking for donations to the Israel Crisis Fund. We have a link to that on our website, wishtv.com. All proceeds are set to support Israel directly. I'm Danielle Zolkowski for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
Thank you, Danielle. President Biden is condemning Hamas and reaffirming U.S. support for Israel. He's ordering the movement of a U.S. carrier strike group to the eastern Mediterranean to deter other nations or groups from exploiting the situation. News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist talked to Indiana congressman right after the president finished speaking.
Congressional Republicans from the beginning have blamed Iran for helping to orchestrate the attacks. Hamas has long been linked to Iran, though that country's leaders deny involvement in the latest violence.
He didn't mention at all Iran's involvement in what's going on in southern Israel. We know that Hamas is a proxy group of the Iranian government. President Biden just released $6 billion to the Iranians just a couple of weeks ago.
President Joe Biden says the United States already is transferring munitions to Israel. And he's added something to Congress's to-do list.
When Congress returns, we're going to ask them to take urgent action to fund the national security requirements of our critical partners.
That's almost certain to include more interceptors for Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. Congressman Jim Baird, who serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, agrees with that assessment.
I think Hamas's goal was to overwhelm the Iron Dome. And so we need to make sure that Israel has the capability to replenish those munitions.
Baird says any supplemental aid for Israel probably will be part of a larger spending bill. He says Congress will have to balance Israel's needs against those of other nations seeking U.S. assistance, including Ukraine. Banks says he'd rather see a standalone aid package for Israel.
It shouldn't be hijacked by some other political cause, whatever that might be. It should be a standalone bill debated on its own to provide more support for the Iron Dome and security in Israel, because Israel is such an important ally.
That was Garrett Bergquist reporting.